Hello everyone, this is undergraduate organic chemistry course that talks about safety, of course, because safety lectures are important before any organic chemistry laboratory started, and we'll be discussing safety issues in organic chemistry laboratory. So any organic chemistry laboratory safety course it contains two big content. Is the first is a theoretical background on safety. Second one will be tour about the lab. But because we are doing this lab virtually and uh, we might not and we will not be going to the lab, uh, I might not give you the tour as a TA, but I can tell you what you must see, what you must find in the laboratory that are related to safety issues. So at the end of this safety lecture, uh, you are expected to have a knowledge and awareness about the chemistry, organic chemistry laboratories in general, and the overall goal is for you to improve the safety issues in organic chemistry or in any other chemistry laboratories, and you also to make you also aware of possible accidents in the lab and your knowledge uh, how to deal with highly reactive reagents and chemicals as a result. And laboratory safety is not a one-time act. It should be a habit, a health habit, in fact, that by maintaining clean and well-organized laboratory environment, that is the only way to have to minimize occurrence of accidents and possible chemical contamination. So you can tell me by looking at the picture that nobody wants us to work under such laboratory environment. However, this picture is not just a model picture. I mean, it's not an ideal picture. It must be taken from a laboratory, and and we must never uh, I mean, consider that everybody is very careful in the lab, and uh, safety safety is not necessary. That's why every time safety course, safety lectures must be given to all students taking organic chemistry. Even from real life examples, laboratory accidents are spoken many times in different labs. For instance, in the picture you see this young girl. She passed away at her 27th years old of life, and she was a graduate student actually. And while working alone in the lab, she tried to transfer tertibutyl lithium, liquid chemical which is highly flammable and corrosive, and that's when she passed away. And this happened in Los Angeles, California. And there is a YouTube video for about that talks about this also, and you see that these accidents could have been prevented. By the time she was working, she was alone, even if that's sometimes what happens to graduate students. But also the professor said that she wasn't wearing the lab coat, the flame-proof lab coats, I mean, so many reasons come to the accident, and most of the accidents actually are preventable if we follow the correct safety measures. The Professor Karen is a professor at Dartmouth College of Chemistry. She passed away from exposure to rare form of mercury. So safety issues are not only because of you know, because of accidents that happen above our scope, but because of lack of readiness and appropriate knowledge to all the chemicals and instruments we use in the lab. And these are two examples to just tell you the real life accidents, but if you Google or YouTube, you'll find lots of chemical accidents happening in many chemistry laboratories. It's not to scare you, but to alert you. So always accidents happen in a second, and by taking immediate corrective measures, you can save your life and lives of others, as well as save many instrument hazards that may occur. And please call 911 all the time when you face any accident within the lab or outside the lab, of course. But also campus police will be able to help you if there is any accident in the lab, and you can reach them by the number displayed in the slide. You can also reach the Environmental Health and Safety AHS at their office G0810, or through the extension number 8135. You can also reach the course professor Dr. Mehti by the extension number 8778. You can also call the main office of the chemistry department at extension number 5701. So why is laboratory safety important? Because life is precious. We will be able to invent anything, we will be able to do the experiment and find results only if we are safe. And to be safe, we must know what are the necessary knowledge to minimize exposure from chemicals, organisms, or laboratory related accidents. It's also possible that without human casualties, there can be also laboratory hazards which directly and indirectly affects us. So it's also to prevent possible laboratory equipment hazards that may occur in the lab. That's why safe laboratory procedures and trainings are given every semester for everyone who will do a laboratory. Any laboratory, it could be biology, chemistry, or any laboratory most of the time. I mean, the laboratory that at least use chemicals which have either health hazards, which either have any kind of health hazards. That's why the Environmental Health and Safety Department provides several trainings every semester for graduate and undergrad. For graduate students, it's must. I'm not sure if there is such for undergrad students, but it's not different. It's not such a. I mean, it's similar. It might not be a substitute by this course, but it's similar to this training. But they may, because they are experts, they also gives you more practical trainings. So it's a good habit to always review laboratory safeties before you start your organic chemistry laboratory. Again, common sense is not common knowledge or common. So I mean, these very basic laboratory safety rules are basic, but they are not silly. I mean, we usually forget them, and it's when silly things are forgotten that creates bigger dangers. So still, we're going to tell you to to wear safety goggles, not to bring food or drinks into the lab, or never to taste or smell chemicals. You should also avoid any contact to chemicals by wearing gloves. When you appear in the lab, you must appear with closed-toe shoes and no slippers or no any open shoes, which are not any open shoes that can expose you to chemical contamination. As an undergraduate student, working alone is prohibited in the lab, and always you must appear to the lab in the scheduled scheduled laboratory periods, so that you'll be able to work with your classmates as well under the supervision of the TA. And we don't know when accidents can happen, and it's good habit to know the location of fire extinguishers and eye wash or showers in the lab. And even you must also well aware where are the nearest exits possible during accidents. When you use glasswares, and I'm pretty sure that you will not use a cracked or broken glasses consciously, but sometimes we use glasswares unconsciously without checking them whether they are healthy or whether they have crack or something, and that is possibly to result in a contamination, and possibly also you may spill chemical into your skin or your body if you don't check whether the glassware you use is really safe and healthy. When you dispose a chemical, try to dispose in an appropriate waste container. We will have also discussions on the waste management in the upcoming slides. And also, not only on chemicals, the laboratory can have also paper wastes or broken glass wastes, and this must also go to their respective waste containers. And like I said in the beginning, laboratory safety is not a one-time act, and always remember to clean your work area and put all used equipments after cleaning back to their initial places. Keep also balances and preparation rooms very clean, as they affect your experiment in addition to the safety. Every laboratory person, students or teacher, must wear goggles, gloves, and lab coats, and must show up in the lab with closed-toe shoes. Every lab must have also eye wash, safety shower, and fire extinguishers available within the reach of the students or anybody working within the lab. So safety is most important when doing laboratory, because safe handling of chemicals is the only way. Safe handling of chemicals and instruments is the only way to get you into your life goals, especially if you are in chemistry, or if you're going to work in labs, or if your career have will allow you to work with chemicals. By any chance, safety will be most important. So while you're working in the lab, you might not be sure of every chemical, or you may not also know the information about any chemical. The best way to do this, the best way to assure you safety, is to just go and ask the TA about the chemical before you use it. If you want also to improve your knowledge about chemicals, you can contact the instructor of records, which they will tell you more information about the chemicals or solvents available in the lab. I think you're well aware that the environmental health and safety department does inspection actually, and they accidentally appear in the lab, and they will check whether you have your appropriate goggles in place, and they also generally overlook over the labs to see everything is properly going. And if they see some problems, they immediately support to the report to the department, as well as to the higher officials in the environmental health and safety. And that's a problem to you, as well as to the TA and to the instructor. And mostly because you are taking the safety course, and the TA will also tell you every time what you should do within the lab, and if you do not obey all the safety advices, rules and regulations, you will be held responsible for any inappropriate act within the lab. And it's better also that you do know that this is there in the labs. What are the corrective measures? Well, the direction from the environmental health and safety experts is that no student must enter the lab unsupervised, and always the TA is there to allow you enter the lab if you have come with proper way of dressing, or sometimes if you come with your bags, or with your personal belongings, you might need to leave them at a front door of the laboratory, and the TA actually makes sure what shoes you are wearing, and anything that may affect your safety. And you should always never enter the lab before the TA allows you. And the TA is actually there to check all these matters, and you should listen to the TA and follow the TA guides also. So this is a sink, a laboratory sink. I'm not sure whether it is from UTEP, but you can tell me that there is something wrong within this sink. And not only it's a mess, but also from safety speaking, so many things are inappropriate here. Similarly, you can see that a funnel is invertedly placed near to the sink. You can see open glasswares left in the sink. You can see drying paper left in the sink, which is not appropriate to do in the laboratory. So you should not leave any item, including papers or broken glasses, near to the sink. Let also clean and dry any equipment you may use for tomorrow during the day, because most of the time we try to do everything during the day, and that doesn't go well. So if you want to use dry clean equipment today, you can make sure that this is ready by yesterday. Actually, most of the glasswares are clean and put in the board, in the drying board. What you can do is you can directly use clean and dry glasswares, but then if you forget to clean them immediately after you do the experiment, they will become waste for coming students, or for your experiment if you are returning by the next week. So it's a good habit to wash any equipment clean and dry, left them to dry in the drying board after each experiment. Again, this balance is not only unsafe for you, as well as it's also unsafe for the instrument itself. In a such balance, I imagine nobody expects a correct or exact measurement, to get exact measurement from the balance. Anyway, this kind of act is not allowed in the lab. Not only spilling chemicals, but also you should never leave any excess chemicals or open chemical containers after measurement. Once you're done with measuring the given chemical, you should tightly close, seal it, because some chemicals also need sealing, and return to appropriate place for the chemical where it was initially. And always the TA will make sure you have done all this correctly, and please listen to the TA. This is relatively an environment where you can see a balance is clean and its environment is clean. You don't see any measuring equipment, or you don't see any bottles around that, and it's better, and it's appropriate to handle and make the measuring environment specifically very clean and neat like this. Waste management is important aspect in safety, because our wastes are not of single chemical kind. We have solid wastes and liquid wastes. Even liquid wastes must not be placed in the same container, because liquids are chemically different. You may have an aqueous waste, you may have halogenated waste or non-halogenated waste. If you are well aware of this, you can place your liquid wastes in the respected liquid containers labeled as similar to the waste levels, and most of the time you will find them aqueous waste and non-aqueous waste, halogenated, non-halogenated waste. If you are not sure, you can ask your TA. This is very important. I mean, when we say do not add water to acid, it's for a reason. Even if they are both liquids, but if you add water to acid, you're going to have spills and explosions. Same is true with any chemical wastes, and we don't know which chemical really react or result in explosion when we don't know what chemical is being added, right? So you must bear this in mind. So most of the time the AHS experts from the AHS on safety supervise every lab to put labeled liquid waste containers, and you can see the waste in the white bottles is appropriate, at least it's labeled and closed, whereas the waste in the Erlenmeyer flasks is unlabeled and it's open, and that's not appropriate way of safety management, uh, waste management. Many experiments use pipettes to measure liquids or to transfer liquids. Normally we use them to transfer liquids, but also you can also measure liquids through droplets when you are using a pipette, and they should not be, because if you use a pipette it means it's contaminated and it should not be placed within the fume hood. Again, when you use a pipette, after you use the pipette may be disposable and you can dispose it in broken glass containers, but you can recover the bulb for the next for further use, because bulbs are not disposable most of the time, of course, unless contaminated. Again, it's not appropriate to place empty chemical container in the fume hoods, and especially these bottles are placed, these chemical bottles are placed near to the liquid waste containers, which triggers even more danger. So this is not the right way to do. And best practice for collecting waste containers is not only to know what waste and how much waste is put in every waste container, but also we must have a clear record of that, because every week there is experiment going on in the laboratory, and we're not the only users of the laboratory. So unless we record our wastes every time, including their amounts, we don't know, or others don't know, what chemicals or solvents we have added into the waste container, and that may result in a laboratory accident. So we must level every waste container with a record, and we must have a record for that one. Sometimes the waste containers may be filled, and the TA is responsible for this to call Ricardo, a lab safety expert in the Department of Environmental Health and Safety, and he will arrange the collection of the wastes. Again, yeah, we have said this before. So when you use pipettes, please recycle the bulbs, but you can discard the pipettes in a broken glass container, because even if they are not broken, they are already contaminated and they should be put in the broken glass container. Some experiments need a set of instruments connected together, and for easy use and for safe use, you must level and arrange equipment that go together through labeling and coding. For instance, if you see this hood, it's labeled 3A to the left and 3B to the right, which means any equipment or instruments that are labeled with 3B must go to 3B, and any equipments that are labeled 3A must go to the 3A, which is the left corner here. For example, when we closely see the above fume hood, you can see that most of the equipments here are labeled as 3B. So this 4A equipment is misplaced here, so it should be moved to its proper place. Some labs require, or some experiments may require, use of kits, and when using kits, you have to make sure that it's clean before even you use it, and when you use it, you should carefully use every appliances in the kit, as well as try to clean it after you are done with using it and return to its initial place. The TA will direct you do this actually during every experiment. One common mistake that students do, even the TA, most of the TA do not recognize most of the time, is even if you keep doing experiments appropriately, you just manage the wastes appropriately, but your products are also wastes most of the time. I mean, when you do one experiment and if you preserve your product for further analysis, it will be a solid waste by default. Why? Because after you make the analysis, the chemical is going to be a waste. So if you do not discard it immediately after you have completed your analysis and anything related to the product, it will be a waste and it will be a problem for the upcoming students. And this is to tell you that your products after every experiment must be discarded. Well, so the second part of the safety lesson in general is to reuse through the laboratory, but we cannot do that, as I have already indicated in the beginning of this lecture. But make sure that you have many laboratory precautions either posted in the lab or in the cabinets or within chemical containers. Also, you must be aware there are guidelines in the laboratory that tells you what steps to take when accidents occur. Also, you need to know and locate where the fire extinguisher is placed in the lab, because that's really important, as we may not have such a thinking time when it comes to accidents. Again, for minor or major contamination, try to locate where the eyewash or shower equipment is placed in the lab. And also be cautious to locate the laboratory and the building exits actually during accident. You may require to you may need to exit not only the laboratory but also the building, and unless if you don't know the exits before that happens, you may find yourself in danger. So it's a good habit to always open-mindedly analyze the lab environment and know the exits. Also try to read and understand the instruments in the labs and their safe use. So hopefully if we are going to meet after some time, maybe if many of us have the vaccine, there may be a chance that we may go back to the lab. I'm not an expert to tell you that, but I hope, like many of us, I do hope that we get back to the lab. If so, I will be able to show you the laboratory or give you a tour through the laboratory. And this is, I was trying to look if I can find a picture of a chemistry laboratory where I can show you where the eye wash and safety shower as well as fire extinguisher is located, but I couldn't find. So I just brought this clean and well organized chemistry laboratory for you to see. Yeah, but if we have a chance to meet in the lab, I may be able to give you a tour through the lab. Again, remember, during any accident, call 911 or the campus police. You can call the AHS, you can call course instructor and the main office by using the corresponding numbers. That's all for this safety course. Thank you for your time.